Chapter 13. Face to Face. An iron grip clamped on Suzette's arm and jerked her to her feet. "What are you doing?" Baptiste demanded again. I was playing the butterfly game," Suzette stammered. The children's cries still bounced faintly from the yard. "You were going through my things," he growled. The world beyond the wall seemed as far away as the moon. Anger and betrayal and fear whirled through her like leaves in an eddy. "You're hurting me," she cried, trying to pull her arm from his grasp, trying to think. Baptiste's dark eyes glittered. His fingers bit deeper into her arm. "You—" "Let go of her." Baptiste whirled around, almost pulling Suzette off her feet. Monsieur Roussain was standing in the doorway. "You can't stop me," Baptiste said after a moment. Roussain looked sad. "My friend, let go of her. You don't want to hurt Suzette, and you don't want to hurt me." If Baptiste hadn't been holding her, Suzette would have thrown her arms around the clerk. "How did you know I was here?" "I watched you looking at the ledger this morning," Roussain explained, his gaze never leaving Baptiste's face. "Your finger was running down the date column, and I remembered you saying that the thief had told Dupree the furs came from the West. After you left, I thought more about it and realized what you had been looking for. So I checked the ledger, too. No one else came into the post the day young Starr brought in those unusual furs. But I wasn't alone that day." He pointed at Baptiste. "You were there. You heard young Starr tell me where the furs came from. No one else could have known that." Time seemed to stop. Suzette was astonished to hear the children still at play, the distant shout of a laborer. Her arm was getting numb. Baptiste threw Suzette aside and leaped for the door. Roussain dove to stop him. The thin clerk was knocked to the ground, but he managed to pull Baptiste down too. Suzette knew Roussain was no match for Baptiste. As Baptiste struggled to his feet, she lunged. She slammed to the floor, but she was able to wrap her arms around his legs. "Help!" she screamed, trying desperately to hang on. Suddenly Baptiste stopped kicking. Suzette looked up and saw Captain D'Amboise, flanked by 3 of his soldiers. 2 of them were holding Baptiste. She and Monsieur Roussain untangled themselves and scrambled to their feet. Captain D'Amboise didn't even wait for an explanation. "That was a clever plan, telling my men to stay behind on Dupree's little island this morning while you came back here," he said to Baptiste. Every word was clipped and tight. "Fortunately, they knew they didn't have to take such orders from you. After you disappeared, they had the voyageurs paddle them back here. What is going on?" Suzette couldn't wait any longer. "I think Baptiste stole the furs." "Your father has already confessed," Baptiste said disdainfully, then looked at Captain D'Amboise. "Philippe Choudoir is the thief." "I don't think so," Roussain said, and told the captain what Suzette had discovered about the stolen furs. "And I overheard Michael and Dupree talking," Suzette added eagerly. "Michael was unhappy that you sent a soldier along to visit the camp, instead of sending Baptiste alone. And look at these." She handed Baptiste's moccasins to Captain D'Amboise. "Only Dupree carries purple beads. I knew whoever had these moccasins must have traded with Dupree. Monsieur Roussain does not have such beads." Captain D'Amboise shook his head. "Mon Dieu, Baptiste, you've been dealing with Dupree for some time." "There's more." Suzette knelt and reached under Baptiste's bed. Carefully, she pulled out 3 clean new traps. "These have never been used," she pointed out. "If you look at Monsieur Roussain's ledger, I don't think you'll find any entries for traps sold to Baptiste. I think Baptiste traded the stolen furs to Dupree for traps and goods he needs to head west on his own. That's what he wants." "So I want to leave," Baptiste exclaimed, facing D'Amboise. "Is that so hard to believe? I had to steal those furs. You never let me have enough time to trap on my own. I watched everyone around me profit, yet I'm expected to be content with the small amount of trade goods the company provides in exchange for my work." His face twisted. "You've never been fair to me. It's because I am mixed blood. Métis." The words hung in the air like breath on a deep winter day. He did this because he was Métis, Suzette thought, suddenly cold inside. But D'Amboise shook his head sadly. "Non, Baptiste. It means nothing to me if you are French, Métis, or Ojibwe. The problems are all in your head. You are looking for someone to blame. Well, blame yourself. I am a fair man." I am a fair man, and you betrayed my trust. Baptiste spat on the ground. I have betrayed nothing. A flame of rage flared in Suzette. You've betrayed me, she blazed. How could you do such a terrible thing? How could you make it look like Papa had been the thief? A new thought struck. Had Baptiste been on the mainland the night before her family crossed the island? And the canoe, she demanded. Did you damage Papa's canoe? The confusion in Baptiste's eyes was too real to disbelieve. I don't know anything about Philippe's canoe. As for the rest... Suzette's anger died as quickly as it had flamed to life, leaving her voice hurt and thin. But why? Why did you do this to Papa, Baptiste? Why did you do this to my family? I never meant to. Baptiste stared at the ground, finally sounding ashamed. They had already started to suspect Philippe before I found his crucifix. It was so easy to leave that little cross and one of the straight furs where I knew they would be found. Take him away, Captain D'Amboise jerked his head at the soldiers. Suzette grabbed the captain's sleeves. And you will let Papa go now? He laughed, the storm clouds driven from his face. Oui, Suzette, I will. Soon Papa was sitting in front of his lodge. I am so proud of you, Suzette, he said again, as Mama handed him a bowl of his favorite, specially seasoned pea soup. As word of his release trickled through the camp, many friends stopped by to wish him well. Papa was relaxing with his pipe that afternoon, surrounded by his family, when Captain D'Amboise and Monsieur Roussain walked up. I hope we're not intruding, D'Amboise said. He held himself stiffly, as though he felt ill at ease. Suzette thought she saw resentment flicker in Papa's blue eyes. Then he gestured with his arm. Welcome to my lodge. She breathed a sigh of relief as D'Amboise and Roussain sat down by the fire. Mama and Grandmother quietly prepared bowls of food to offer their guests. I can only say I'm sorry, Philippe, for everything that happened. Captain D'Amboise leaned over and put out his hand in the French manner. I make the best decisions I know how to make. I had to take action. Papa accepted his hand and shook it solemnly. I would have thought that you knew me too well to believe I could do such a thing. You didn't help by telling us you were the one we were looking for. D'Amboise clearly wanted an explanation. Papa shrugged. You threatened Yellow Wing, too. It seemed clear you were intent on taking me. I had to make sure my family was taken care of. I trusted Yellow Wing to do that. He translated for his brother-in-law, who nodded. What will happen to Baptiste? Yellow Wing asked. And Papa repeated the question in French. What I promised. I will hold him for 14 days, then send him away from the island. There is nothing more I can do. He will be welcome in this region no more. Roussain added sadly, Baptiste is not at heart a bad man. He is a confused and unhappy man. He blames his troubles on being Métis, Suzette said quietly. Remembering Baptiste's words made her feel uneasy. Was being Métis such a heavy load to carry? Captain D'Amboise filled the silence. Suzette, I want to thank you for everything you did. I know you did it to clear your papa, but I hate to think of any injustice being done at Fort La Pointe while I am in command. You kept that from happening. You found answers when the rest of us failed, Monsieur Roussain added. When I think of what you did, how you figured things through, I am amazed. I have been taught, well, she said modestly. My family has taught me to be safe in the woods, and to paddle a canoe, and to be observant. And you, monsieur, taught me how to read French. She said the words in Ojibwe, and then in French, thinking it all over. Suddenly she caught her breath. Do you know what I just realized? She said slowly. I could have not found the answer if I was only French or only Ojibwe. I needed to know how to read the ledgers, and I needed to know how to take care of myself in the woods and in a canoe. I was only able to clear Papa because I am Métis. A warmth spread through her, like the warmth of a new sunrise over Lake Superior, pushing away the shadows. Baptiste was wrong. Being Métis can be wonderful. Monsieur Roussain smiled. All right, Suzette. I'll stop trying to turn you into a French girl, but I still expect you for lessons. Grandmother wasn't willing to say quite as much, but she nodded too. And don't forget, granddaughter, later we will practice your quill work. Suzette said to them both, unable to hide her own grin. Captain Jambois nodded thoughtfully. Suzette, I do not doubt that living in two worlds as you do is difficult. It will probably always be difficult in some ways. But the time when Indian people lived here and white people lived somewhere else is past. More white people are going to come to this land, to trade, perhaps even to farm the land. Suzette wasn't sure what farm the land meant, but she didn't interrupt. We are going to need people like you, Métis people, people who understand both worlds and can help other people understand. Well, he pushed to his feet. Philippe, I will leave you to your family. Roussein followed. Then Damboise looked back. And don't forget, Philippe, you have until tomorrow at high sun to turn in any remaining furs for the competition. Suzette clapped a hand over her mouth. The trappers' competition. She had forgotten all about it.